ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Hari Om, salutations to all. So we were seeing the qualities of this person of realization, and 433 we saw Atita Ananusandhanam, not going through the regrets of the past, not engaged in the anxiety for the future, Bhavishyad Avicharanam, Audasinyam Api Prapte, and being indifferent to the present moment, meaning keeping the mind occupied with something very higher, very high. Here it is Brahman. So indifferent, not in the sense of laziness, lethargy, etc., or ignorance of ignoring the duty, not that. The quality of the Jivan Mukta is to be in the present moment completely, without these three leakages of the mind or without these three hang-ups. You know, the Jivan Mukta Lakshan that we are seeing, they live in the moment completely. And if we come to the present moment fully, we are living in eternity, we are living in timelessness. Because time exists only in its continuity of past, present, future. Only in the present, if I am there, that is eternity. Because past and future are creations of the mind. Time itself is creation of the mind. In that past and future, there are definitely much more deeper projections. And we can't do anything in that past or future. It has to be here and now only. So this Dan, when he's told, that you practice gymnastics, I practice everything. So the sock says that, if I was your teacher, then no TV, no meat, no girls, no alcohol. 4 things. So Dan says, so I'm very glad you are not my teacher. You see, self-control. A lot of people think self-control is some restriction on oneself and all that. They don't understand that with self-control only the mind comes fully into the present. Self-control is a big part of living in the moment. Because pleasure seeking is what makes the mind go into the past and future. One goes into the past pleasure, it will create desire through the memory. And future, one fancifully imagines, if I eat this, what will happen? If I eat that, how it will be? And so good. Once the coronavirus lockdown is over, I'm going to travel here and do this and do that. 100% everybody has already made their list. Corona list it is. Corona bucket list. What one will do? I am going to eat pav bhaji here, I am going to eat bhel puri there, I am going to travel to this place, and I am going to 100 things one will imagine. You see what happens with this. The more I imagine those things, the more the lockdown period leads to frustration. When this is going to end? Because I have so many things to fulfill. Don't make any list. Take it moment by moment. If the lockdown is over, wonderful. If it is not over, wonderful. How does it matter? No, Swamiji, easy for you to say. But where is the choice? I can take precautions, I can be at home, I can go out and with whatever restrictions are lifted, be cautious, do the work. Beyond that, what can one do? So if I learn to live in the moment with that self-control, I don't allow the mind to go into the past. I don't allow the mind to brood about the future. Full energy is available in the now. So this Dan is very proud of his training and he's a gymnast and all that. So Sok tells him, can you stand like this for 5 minutes? And you try doing that chair pose. 5 minutes is a long time. It won't happen. You know, a lot of people think all this mindfulness and all came from Buddhism. This is all there in Hindu culture. Much before Buddhism even came about, Hindu culture had all these practices and we're practicing it for millions of years. Surya Namaskar, how are we supposed to do? How many are we supposed to do? Today, the people are doing 100, 200, 300, some competition also on that. Only 12 Surya Namaskars facing the sun. And each pose, one can be in 10 seconds, each pose of Surya Namaskar, 12 postures. So each posture, one should be minimum at least 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Try holding the body in that posture for 30 seconds, not a joke. All this, what they are talking today about plank and this and that, is all there in Surya Namaskar. Holding the body in that pose. So 30 seconds if I take, one Surya Namaskar will take 6 minutes. Not 6 minutes, yeah, 6 minutes, correct. 12 such Surya Namaskars, 1 hour it will be. Solid cardio, solid resistance training, everything. And spiritual also. Face the sun, chant a mantra, and do the Surya Namaskar. And if you saw the commentary of a few verses earlier, that shadow example which was given, in that Gurudev has mentioned Surya Namaskar and he says that tradition says that after every Surya Namaskar, you are supposed to see your shadow. Because the belief is if you do that, then you will not be affected by the evil and all that. You see that the shloka there. This 432, in that you see that paragraph, second paragraph he says, third paragraph he says, while doing Surya Namaskars, it is advised that one should look at the sun and then look at one's shadow after every Surya Namaskar. It is traditionally believed in India that by doing so, there will be no evil effects of the planets upon one. This ritual is a dramatization of a greater philosophical implication. Because to understand that this BMI is only a shadow, I am the pure consciousness, matter can affect matter, it won't affect me, the consciousness. Now you see, that is how one does. So this Dan is standing. He can't stand. For a few minutes also he can't stand. Forget 5 minutes. So he gets very frustrated. One can get humbled and one can become open to learning. Or one can become frustrated when one takes it egoistically that, oh God, I failed. So he feels very irritated, frustrated, and he is rushing out of that place. And you see Sok, such a contrasting approach. He says, thanks for stopping by. Everybody wants you to believe their answers. They don't want you to think for yourself. So naturally, Dan says, so you want me to believe yours. See, some of these lines which they come, now they are very powerful. So Sok replies saying that I want you to stop gathering information from the outside and start collecting it from the inside. Meaning intuitiveness and one's own thinking power. One should cultivate. Half the time we are carrying only borrowed opinions. And then Sok says something very powerful. He says that people are afraid of what is inside. We don't look inside because we are scared. We don't want to face ourselves. We want to escape. There may be anxiety, there may be stress, there may be guilt, there may be regret, there may be fears. So many things are lurking inside. Someone doesn't want to see. And he says, that's the only place you are going to find what you are looking for. Because peace will be found only here, inside, not out there. And when I bring the mind into the present, how to bring the mind into the present? Because there is so much of trash up here. So he says, you tell me that you want to use your body, mind, intellect in ways in which most people don't have the courage to. Then he says, I will train you. Not for a stunt or two that he's performing. He says that anybody can do actually. With some practice, one can go up and do some stunts. Not to undermine that thing, but what we do is for those objective achievements, one neglects the subjective unfoldment. It should be the other way. The subjective unfoldment within must lead to an objective achievement out there. But for the sake of the objective achievements, for name, fame, popularity, gold medal, success, whatever it is, the inner unfoldment gets compromised. Forget compromise, one doesn't pay attention only. Where is the attention? How much of attention we pay on our self-development in these terms? People may say, no, I pay enough attention. I eat what I feel like. I drink what I feel like. I watch what I feel like. That is not self-development. One may enjoy life in that way, but lifting oneself to higher levels of evolution, aligning the body, mind, intellect, living in self-control, living in the moment, all that is called self-development. That has to happen. So this training that Dan is getting from SOC is that life training, is the life skills or whatever. Those are the modern words people use. That the life skill training is not there. Training is there for getting some job, getting some profit, doing some business, earning some money through some skill. All that training is there. But the objective is through that training, actually, I should become aware of my mind. The attention to one's own mind is very less. Most of the time focus on the marks and grades and achievement and cup and medal and all that. So Dan is told this, that you tell me that. So one dialogue also comes there, that people are not the thoughts they think of. And that is the first time. You see how casually he introduces Vedanta, just like that. People are not the thought they think of. So this Dan says, I'm not what I think, because that's our identity. We think that our identity comes from the thoughts. And Sock says something very powerful. He says, all the thoughts don't reveal anything more about you than a freckle does at the end of your nose. What a powerful line. Entire mind is dismissed as a freckle on the tip of the nose. So much of objective knowledge and achievement and this and that, dismissed. All thoughts, identities, everything gone. One freckle at the end of the nose. And you see how their alertness level is also. He tells him to give the spanner, the 3/4 and all that. And this Dan is testing Sock. He throws in one place, then he throws somewhere else, and throws somewhere else again. And Sock is alert. He's able to catch everywhere. And Dan can't catch one when Sock throws at him. That itself shows where is the mind. Alertness of the mind was so much. Living in the moment was so much. In that clip, is a complete contrast of how Dan lives not in the moment and how Sok lives fully in the moment in every aspect, whether it is eating food or whether it is training or whether it is, he's doing mechanic work, everything, pumping that fuel, every aspect. He's living fully in the now. So now he can't catch the spanner also. And the way in which he trains Sok is also very unorthodox. All this is not training sitting in a classroom. The day-to-day experiences he is able to train. Then comes that slapping incident. What an amazing way. But he goes on slapping. And this guy can't take it. That is one good quality of a teacher, especially one who is dealing with teenagers, youth, etc. One has to be unpredictable and know how to teach through that. Not unpredictable for the sake of, making people scared. Now we don't know what this guy is going to do. No, no, no. Not to make them scared, but to keep them on their toes, alert, as well as to be able to teach through that. So he goes on slapping, tap, tap. And Dan can't handle that. Finally, he tries to hit him and he can't punch him. One punch he can't give. And what a nice line there, How can you see how right leverage can be so effective? Right? In fact, he says life is all about this, applying the right leverage at the right time, in the right place. So then he asks about what is this living in the present. He will meet me in that Strawberry Creek Bridge. So when he goes there, he thought that it is some trick. He will tell him quickly do this and you will start living in the present. So many people think like that, Tell some technique, give some method, mantra. If I chant this mantra, this will happen. Okay, very good. What about philosophies of life? What about attitude? What about cleansing? The trash is all up here. He says, empty the trash. And this Dan gives him back only. He says, you empty the trash. He's telling the teacher, you empty the trash. The teacher says, trash is up here. This is before going to Strawberry Creek. The trash is up here. Empty the trash, meaning how much burden we carry, all this regret of the past, anxiety of the future, tension in the present, inalertness of the moment. So much we carry, and then how is the mind going to have energy to perform well? Plus the psychological factors of going up against somebody, trying to pull somebody down, having the insecurity whether I will be better than this person or not. What if I don't get the gold medal? What will my father think of me? What will the society think of me? So much of pressure in the mind. And so when that much of pressure one is carrying, it will definitely affect the performance. Where one is not able to understand how actually these factors are burdening the mind. So he says, okay, empty the trash. Okay, so meet me at the Strawberry Creek Bridge, he tells him. And there he goes. He tells him, make it quick. So many people try like that. Even right now, there are people who are so many times asking us, can you tell some mantra? Which mantra can we just chant right now? We can give a mantra. We can say, okay, chant Om or chant Tunjay mantra or something. That will keep the mind engaged for some time. That also, if my mind is too overloaded, after some time it will start wandering. Deeper cleansing is what has to be done. It cannot happen only by some methods and some techniques. Methods and techniques can also be applied with this deeper cleansing, then that is the only effective way. Deeper cleansing is all this. What are my regrets? Make a list. What are my anxieties? Make a list. Start sorting them out. Clear the mind. It's an attitudinal shift. It's a perspective shift. It's an identity shift. Then comes technique. And if a technique helps to do this, great. Change the attitude. So one is attitude shift. Change the perspective only. Our perspective is so narrow and selfish so many times. And change the identity itself. I am not this finite identity. I am the pure consciousness. So the deeper layers are these. When we start doing these, then slowly we understand what our masters have been saying and what they have lived, how they have lived. One wants quick fix solution, fatafat, do something. So the teacher is also very great. The teacher didn't tell him, look, I can't tell you this in a minute. What do you think? It's some cup of tea or what? I can just give it to you. He didn't react like that. He said, Acha, you want me to make it quick? Threw him off the bridge. Finished. So see, so much of clarity and so much of innovativeness, or what we call unpredictability, all has to be there now, to give that kind of a solution. Quick wit, like Gurudev used to have a quick wit. He will answer many times customized to the person who is standing in front of him, whichever age group, whatever that mindset of that person is. Accordingly, he'll customize and he'll give the knowledge. To a small child, he can tell a story, and that small child will be so thrilled listening to Gurudev telling the story. To a youngster, he can give a very witty remark, humorous remark, in a language that the youngster will understand. To an army person, he can talk in army language. To a management corporate professional, in management language. All different types of people he can address. A non-believer, he will address like a non-believer. How much clarity should be there to just present it in that way? To somebody who is very passionate about Hindu cause, he can tell about Hindu cause and what it requires to revive the Hindu culture, like this. Many people get converted by allurement or under some other pressure. They get converted. Sometimes they feel regret and then they want to come back. So many traditional orthodox Brahmins and people would say that is not possible, you can't come back and all that. That has been happening for centuries. And people who are very clear about this, if you don't allow this, Hinduism will be wiped out, because there are so many invaders who are coming here and converting our people. And by force they are converting. At the threat of life they are converting. By allurement they are converting. Then Hindu culture will be destroyed. So you must have some way to take them back. And a lot of resistance. Even during Shivaji Maharaj time and all that, a lot of things have happened like this, where the Pandits don't take back, and Shivaji Maharaj had to fight quite a bit to make them accept. So even today, a lot of people now are able to at least have that vision ki no, this is important. So they will say Ghar Vapsi and do some Havan and this and that. One person came to Gurudev and he said, Swamiji, I really regret, I have converted, I am repenting it, and I want to come back. Can you please help? Gurudev asked him, how did they convert you? He said, they took some water and they threw it on me and they said, now you are converted. You know what Gurudev did? He took out a handkerchief and he gave it to him and he said, wipe it and you are back. Over. That is called clarity. Otherwise, one doesn't understand that and is holding on to the name of tradition and losing the culture and getting the whole community destroyed. Our culture, especially, is such a beautiful culture, adaptable culture. And Gurudev just said, what is that thinking, you see? How did they convert you? They sprinkled water on me and converted me. He says, take this towel, wipe it, you are back. Over, that's it, Ghar Vapsi finished. You are back into the Hindu fold. Continue now, drop all your regret, everything gone, live as a Hindu again now. So that is called clarity. That this country needs this, culture needs this, the world needs this. If Hinduism is gone, secularism gone. So anyway, the point here was that this is the way Jivan Muktas live. You see how they live in the present. So this Dan also is thrown away into the water and he gets very frustrated. Now sometimes it can be frustrating to get trained under a master who is like this. And any master who has gone beyond the mind, their whole life will be expression of this truth. That's why that book title, no, At Every Breath a Teaching, it applies to all great masters who take up this role of molding the minds. They will have to teach in that way only. It cannot happen only through formal lecture. Tapon Maharaj also taught Gurudev in that way only. Make a garden for me here, and then he would, so many examples. Torn kurta, drop the basket that you have brought. A lot of such examples are there. How through each of these he taught Gurudev. But this fellow, he gets very upset, Dan. And he comes and tells him that, you are out of your mind. What a powerful line Sok replies. He says, it has taken a lifetime of practice. That is this Jivan Muktasya Lakshanam. Out of your mind. So, he says, what do you do? Some trick or something? He says, no. You are not paying attention. Such a simple thing, it is. You are not paying attention, he says. So this Dan says, there's nothing happening, what to pay attention to. Because we discount the present moment so much. That's what that dialogue means. This present moment is completely discounted. Because the mind is lost in some ambition, some desire, some achievement, some goal, some task to do. So what is happening around, one doesn't know. And one may say, but then I am thinking about all that and how can I be aware of everything happening around? It's not about that. It's about the quality of attention. There has to be a certain amount of awareness of the present moment. Along with whatever one is doing, if the mind is fully available in the present moment, one part of the mind is thinking. But there is deeper layers of the mind which becomes aware. And is it not that happens? It is not something new. Somebody, let us say, comes running from behind. Our reflex will be there or not. Suddenly we will move or we will duck or we will feel that, somebody is coming, so we will turn immediately. How is that possible? Because there's a subconscious mind which is alert. That level has to come up at the conscious mind level also in much more ways than today it is happening. Today we are lost more in the past and the future. So then the Sok makes him aware of the present moment. That when he touches him, that is in a way how the Samadhi experience a disciple goes through. If a master touches the student and the student for some time, with the help of the master's power, the student experiences what is Samadhi. Of course, in Samadhi, one transcends the world completely and this dissolution of the world happens. But here it is what we call the open-eyed samadhi, in the sense that one suddenly becomes aware of everything simultaneously. See, in the movie they are showing that, sequentially they are showing, but one becomes aware simultaneously. So he's seeing the dog catching the frisbee, and he's seeing that the person reading the book and the ladybird walking on that, people laughing, everything is happening, and this guy is not paying attention at all. So he says there is never nothing happening. Never nothing happening. That's a very powerful line. There's never nothing happening. All the time something or the other is happening. Am I paying attention or not? Including in my body, in my mind, in my intellect, and the world outside. All the time something is happening. So then he understands, oh, there is something more to this. And he applies this being in the moment. When this friend of his has got a fracture and they are testing alternatives, who can substitute this person? So Trev is his friend against whom this Dan is going up against all the time. And once he applies this, where he clears his mind, he is fully into the present. When they show him taking bath, it is that he is aware of every drop, his mind is cleared and he is trying to focus in the present. That's what it means. And then he actually manifests, and he does it very well. So when he comes back, he is telling his teacher that, you should have been there. It was amazing and I demolished that guy. And look at the teacher. If you see the way the teacher is acting at that time, he is collecting something and he is grouping something, and every action of his is so, what we call, so harmonious and with full attention and alertness. So he tells, you are not in the present, you are in the past gloating, you are not in the now, living. Now is the only moment where one will find what one truly wants. So this present moment awareness, how do I practice? Every single day, every act that I practice, even the most mundane ones, whether I'm brushing the teeth or taking bath or eating food or walking, talking, to be fully in the now. No, but should I not be planning? I should be planning. That is also part of the present, where I'm sitting and consciously thinking what should be done. But I don't have to worry about anxieties. So the equation of the present we saw is present is equal to attention minus tension. Drop the tensions. How? Bring the head and hands together. Gurudev used to tell us, bring the mind where your hands are. Be fully in the now. So these are qualities of the Jivan Mukta, who has dropped the regrets, dropped the anxieties, dropped the tension, and is living fully in this moment. So that's where we will stop for today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.